Hey everybody, this is Boo Johnson with Bandersnatch Glass, and today I'm going to be demoing my silver Fumed Nebula Pendants. I'm going to start off with some 14mm rod and just get that pre-warmed in your flame. I'm going to heat up the first 5 to 6 inches of it, and we'll be able to pull 3 to 4 different pendants out of this one finished rod. So once you get it nice and warm, you're going to be ready for your fuming. And I have my silver right on the tip here. I'm going to put that right in the candles, let it get nice and warm, and as it starts to melt, you'll see it start to bubble and pop a little bit, and you can pull your 14mm through there and start catching all that silver fume. And here you're going to be putting it on nice and thick. It's going to wash out a little bit as you put your lines on. And you'll see it's all fumed up and ready to go. I'm going to take some 2mm rod right here, and we're going to put about 5 or 6 different lines running down it. And these are going to trap your fuming in there. It doesn't matter if these are evenly spaced or not. I'm going to be pulling it out and twisting it up. Want to pay close attention to the end of your clear rod, right where you're leaving all those little nubbins, and just give that a once over. Otherwise, you're going to get some crack in there as it cools down. So this is what you're working with the 14mm with the clear rod stripes, and you're ready to punny up to it and pull off your first pendant. Here I'm going to crank up the torch a little bit. If you use too much oxygen at this point, you're going to burn off all that fuming, so try to maintain a nice bushy flame. Just punny up to it. And we're going to be focusing on about the first inch to inch and a half of your rod. You can see it getting warm there. We're just going to get that nice and goopy, then we're going to pull it out, twist it up, and mash it back together. And with this, it's all personal preference. You get a bunch of different styles for how you squish it all together. I'm going to get it nice and pulled out. See it starting to go there. And then I put it back in my flame and just smash it up and twist it. And I'll be removing my original 14mm rod. And we can just put that off to the side. That'll make another 2 pendants when you're ready to go at it. Right now, this is what we have. Just a big old glob, and we're gonna flame polish, take that down and turn the front of it into a nice dome shape. This is going to be the surface of your pendant. And here you can crank up your torch a little bit. The fume that's caught on the inside is going to be what you're looking for. And just focus on the first half of your glob, and you'll see it start to round out there. And you're going to let this cool for a little bit and get another cold seal punty ready to go. See, as it starts to cool, start seeing that fuming in there. And about this point it's ready to go, so we can just punty up to it. And keep it nice and centered. And you take your initial punty off, and we're going to round down that other side, and this is going to be your back. So this is what we have. Once again, focus all of your heat just on the side that you're melting down. If you work too far down the pendant, you're going to melt that cold seal in there, and it's going to be a pain in the ass to take off later. And once you get it nice and warmed up and nice and domed out, it's going to be ready for your first push. And it's going to make your back. So here, just let it drop on itself. Keep it spinning to keep it centered. You don't need to push at all, really. Just let it fall. And it's going to make that surface dome nice and even for you. That's what we're working with. And we're ready for our backing. I use a frit backing. It's just a nice quick way to do it. You can also coil on color. Darker colors generally seem to work better for bringing out the fuming. And once you get that flat part nice and sticky, you give it a nice roll around in your frit. And then melt that in there. And for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to put one layer on. I generally layer up a couple, just so not a lot of light shines through. And once that frit's nice and melted in there, you give it another little push on the marvering pad, and that's going to even out your back. And here we're ready for our loop. So I'm going to take an 8mm rod and get the end of it nice and melted for a just a full seal. And while I'm doing that, I look down this puntee and figure out where I want to pull the loop. That's all personal preference. And once you figure it out, dab it on there. And then flip it up and make sure it's nice and even. The more centered it is means the more center your loop is going to be. And because that cold seal's on there, at this point you can just give it a little wiggle and it'll just pop right off, leaving you with just a little indent in the front. And we're just going to flame polish that. And you just want to hit the surface of this. Your only goal here is to melt that little indent out. I melt it upside down first and let gravity feed it, and then pull it upside or back right side up, and you'll see it just kind of fall and make that nice dome for you. Alright, at this point we're going to be pulling out our shepherd's loop. This is what we have prepared. So I'm just going to put a cold seal on the other side of it. Get it nice and centered. And then when I'm pulling my loops, I like to use a nice pinpoint flame. If it's too wide, you're going to hit the rest of the pendant and it gets a little harder to control. So once you get the flame characteristics you want, we're just going to be hitting this half of the pendant. And we're not going to do any pulling at this point, we're just going to get it nice and melted. And when it starts moving around, you're going to start your pull. If you pull it too quickly, it's going to end up really thin. If you pull it too slowly, it's going to end up really thick. So you kind of have to watch your glass and make sure it's doing what you want it to do. Alright, now it's starting to pull out a little bit. Just on its own, I'm not doing too much pulling myself. When it gets nice and melted, I pull it out of the flame, and you want to just pull on it really slowly. And you're going to see it elongate just a little bit. And at this point, I'm going to pull my loop, so you want to focus your attention on where you want the bend in your loop to be. And still that first half of the pendant. Get it nice and warm, and for your pull, take it out of the flame, and just give it a nice even pull. And when your loop is about the thickness you want it, you can bend it over. And this is what you're going to end up with. So we're going to be removing this larger punty. And you just throw that in the flame. And nice and warm, and just rip it off. So this is what we have now. And we're just going to push our loop in there. So I like to hit it all evenly and just kind of let that loop fall on itself. You see it come down here. And I hit the very end of it. And give it a little push to squish it out. Now all we need is a little flame polishing. And at this point you can adjust your loop size to make it whatever you want. Just stick my tweezers in there, make sure they fit through, give it a little pull, and we have our loop. And at this point I'm going to push it down just a little bit, just to make sure it sits nicely. Just put it right on the edge here. And give it a little push. You don't want to close your hole off, just enough to flatten it out. So now that's going to sit really nicely. And check your surface, make sure there are no stress marks. If there are, just put that surface in the flame. Once again, holding it upside down helps a little to pull that dome out. Once it starts falling, you flip it up and let it sit. It's going to give you just a nice surface on there. At this point, we're ready to just break that gold seal. And you're going to have your little break there. All you have to do is flame polish that out and we're good to go. Once again, holding it down to let gravity feed it. Getting it nice and evenly warmed. And then I flip it up. And that's just going to melt right into it. So that's it. This is your finished product, hopefully. Thanks for watching.